Welcome back. Today we are getting into a phenomenon that is, I think, maybe the silent epidemic of our time.
Hmm.
It's not exactly burnout, and it's not depression, in a clinical sense. It's this creeping feeling that I think every single person listening has had.
Oh, absolutely.
You're walking down the street, or you're sitting in a meeting, or maybe just standing in your kitchen waiting for the coffee to brew, and it suddenly hits you like this jolt that you aren't actually there.
The lights are on, the machinery's running,
Yeah.
but the operator has left the building.
That's it, exactly. You're moving, you're breathing, you are technically functioning, you're ticking things off a list, but there's no vividness. The world just feels blurry. It's like sleepwalking through your own life.
It's such a pervasive issue, and honestly, the source material we're looking at today frames it as one of the most tragic ways to spend a life. We're talking about being half alive.
Hmm.
And just to be clear, this isn't about feeling a bit bored on a Tuesday. This is a fundamental disconnection from your own agency, from the vibrancy of your own existence.
Half alive. That is a haunting phrase. It sounds like something from a horror movie, but it's actually a psychological diagnosis from, the early 20th century.
It is, yeah. And it feels more relevant now than ever.
So true.
It comes straight from William Walker Atkinson. We're continuing through his book, Thought Vibration, and we're zoning in on Chapter 9. But we're not just staying in the past today.
Right?
We're layering Atkinson's ideas with some heavy-hitting stoicism from Marcus Aurelius, and then we're testing it all against modern behavioral psychology.
Specifically what we know about habit formation and how our brain focuses.
Exactly.
Okay, so the topic is asserting the life force. And I have to stop you right there because life force immediately sets off my woo-woo alarm a little bit.
I was waiting for that.
It sounds like we're about to talk about healing crystals or something. We need to ground this before we go any further.
I'm glad you flagged that. Let's just strip all the mysticism away right now. When Atkinson talks about life force, and when we talk about it today, we're talking about psychological presence. Okay. It's the mental and, frankly, metabolic difference between passive existence, just letting the day happen to you, and active living, where you are the one in the driver's seat.
So it's about waking up. It's about moving from that gray, passive drift into a state of sharp, vibrant aliveness.
Precisely. And we have a specific toolkit for how to do that.
Great.
If this episode helps you, please hit like and subscribe for the next one.
So let's start with the diagnosis. Atkinson has this observation in the text that's frankly a little unsettling. He tells the reader to go out into a busy city and just look. Really look into the eyes of the people you pass.
And it's unsettling because it's still so true. He says if you look closely, you'll see countless people who are merely existing, not living. They lack the expression of conscious life. They're like automatons.
Like NPCs. Non-player characters in a video game.
That is the perfect modern term for it, yes. They're being operated by their habits, by the weather, by the news cycle, by the last notification on their phone.
Yeah.
They aren't generating their own life. They're just reacting.
It makes me think of the morning commute. You look around the train or the bus at 8 a.m., and it's just a gallery of the half alive.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's slumped, eyes glazed over, usually scrolling through a feed they won't even remember 10 seconds later. It's not just being tired, it's an absence of intent.
It is the passive mind in complete control. Our research on this distinguishes between the active mind and the passive mind. And the passive mind is basically an energy conservation tool.
Its job is to keep you safe, burn as few calories as possible.
Right. It takes suggestions, it replays old memories, it loops worries, and if you don't consciously interrupt it, you just drift.
And that drift is the half-alive problem. But, okay, let me play devil's advocate for a second. Why is that so bad? I mean, from an evolutionary standpoint, isn't conserving energy a good thing? Why shouldn't I just drift through my Tuesday?
That's a really fair question. The problem is the hidden cost of the drift. When you're half alive, life paradoxically becomes harder, not easier.
How?
Work feels like a total drag because you're not engaging with it. You're just enduring it. Relationships start to degrade because you're not connecting. You're just sort of exchanging data. That gray zone is actually exhausting. You're in a constant state of low-level resistance to what's happening.
It's the difference between walking with purpose, which feels good and energizing, and just dragging your feet, which is incredibly tiring.
Exactly. And the Stoics would say there's a moral dimension to this, too.
Yeah.
This is where Marcus Aurelius comes in.
Yeah.
In his meditations, he has this famous internal monologue about getting out of bed. It's thousands of years old, but it sounds like it could have been written this morning.
I know the one you mean. He's arguing with himself because it's so warm and cozy under the blankets.
Right. He's basically saying, It's warm here. It's comfortable. The world out there is cold and demanding. Why should I get up? And his answer isn't because you've got an empire to run.
No.
His answer is, were you born for this? To huddle under blankets and keep yourself warm? Or were you born to do the work of a human being?
Do the work of a human being. Wow, it hits hard. It reframes waking up from being a chore to being a duty.
It frames the half-alive state as a refusal of your own nature.
Yeah.
When you retreat into passivity, you're denying your function. And when you do that, you lose the joy of being human. You lose that vitality.
So, okay, we've got the diagnosis. We're drifting, we're on autopilot, and it's draining the color from our lives. Atkinson's solution is asserting the life force. Let's double-click on that word assert. Why that specific word?
Words matter so much. Assert comes from a Latin word, assera, which means to claim something, to declare it. It implies resistance.
Right. You don't assert something that's just handed to you. You assert a right or a boundary.
Exactly. Atkinson is telling us that vitality isn't just going to fall into our laps. The default state of the universe is entropy. The default state of the mind is to drift. You have to actively claim your aliveness.
It's an act of will. You have to take it.
It's the definition of being active. And from the sources, we've kind of distilled this down into a simpler mechanism, a triad: attention, intention, and action.
Okay, let's walk through these because this feels like the real engine of the whole thing. Let's start with attention.
Attention is the direct antidote to the passive mind. The passive mind just blurs everything together. It says, oh, I'm doing dishes. I know what this is. I don't need to actually look. Attention brings it into sharp focus. Atkinson argues the world is incredibly interesting, even the boring parts, if you just take a second to actually look.
So instead of doing the dishes while you're worrying about your taxes, you're doing the dishes and, I don't know, noticing the shimmer on the bubbles.
In a way, yes.
Yeah.
But what you're really doing on a neurological level is engaging a part of your brain called the reticular activating system. You're telling your brain, hey, this moment matters. Record this.
It stops that time skip effect. You know when a whole week goes by and you can't remember any of it?
That's because your brain didn't tag any of it as new or important. Attention forces that tag. It says, I am here now.
Okay, so we're awake. We're looking at the bubbles. What about intention?
Intention is setting the thermostat. This is the step most people just skip entirely. We walk into a room, a meeting, a party, our own living room, and we wait to see what the vibe is so we can react to it.
Oh, this meeting is boring, so I'll be bored. Or my partner seems grumpy, so I'll be defensive.
Exactly. We act like thermometers, just reflecting the temperature around us.
Right.
Asserting the life force means choosing to be the thermostat. Before you walk in, you decide the temperature. You define the vibe. I am going to be vibrant. I am going to be sharp. I am going to be curious.
You're priming the engine before you even turn the key.
You're preloading the neural pathway. Psychology calls this implementation intention. By deciding how you're going to be, you drastically increase the odds of actually being that way. You decide the vibe before the vibe decides you.
Love that. And finally, action.
Action is the proof. And this is where Atkinson is really strict. You can't just sit on the couch and meditate on how alive you are.
Right.
Vitality needs kinetic expression. Your thoughts have to take form in action.
It sounds like a loop, doesn't it? You act, which generates energy, which helps you pay attention, which then fuels the intention.
Yes, but you have to jumpstart that loop.
Yeah.
And Atkinson gives us a very specific, some might say controversial, tool to do this. He calls it a watchword.
I was waiting for this. The watchword is, I am alive.
I am alive.
Okay, I have to be the cynic here. That sounds dangerously close to one of those live, laugh, love signs. It sounds like a cheesy affirmation that doesn't actually do anything. Why is this different?
I completely get the skepticism. And you're right, most affirmations fail because people try to use them to lie to themselves.
I am a millionaire when you have $10 in the bank?
Your brain just rejects it. But I am alive is different. It is a factual command.
Because you are alive. It's a true statement.
You are. You're breathing. The statement is undeniably true. But our subconscious mind forgets it all the time. Think about the internal monologue most people have.
I'm so tired. I'm so stressed. I'm so bored. I just need to survive till Friday.
I'm dying for a coffee. We literally use death metaphors all day long.
Good point.
And that internal monologue is a set of instructions for your nervous system. If you tell yourself, I am drained, your body will literally downregulate your energy to match that belief. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
So when you consciously interrupt that and say, no, I am alive, You're sending a counter command.
It's a pattern interrupt, a hard reset. Atkinson suggests using it specifically at the moment you feel that drift starting to take over.
Okay, paint a picture for us. It's 2:30 in the afternoon. That post-lunch slump hits. Your brain feels like it's full of cotton. You're just staring at a screen.
The default pattern there is to slump physically. Your breathing gets shallow, and you complain to yourself internally. All of that just reinforces the lethargy.
So the intervention.
You catch yourself. You realize, I'm drifting. So you stop. You physically sit up straight. Posture is so important here. And you say to yourself with conviction, I am alive. You repeat it until you feel even a tiny spark of interest return. You're reclaiming your state.
It's like mentally slapping yourself in the face to wake up.
Mentally and physiologically. Because Atkinson pairs this with a specific breathing technique. And I want to be really responsible here. This isn't medical advice. This is a focus exercise.
Right. It's a way to use your breath to bridge your mind and your body.
Yes. When we're stressed or half alive, our breathing is usually shallow and high up in the chest. Or we just hold our breath without realizing it. The technique here is rhythmic and visualized. So as you inhale, you don't just pull in air. You visualize that you're breathing in strength, life, and energy. Imagine the air itself is charged with vitality.
That's the attention piece again. You're visualizing the intake.
And the exhale is the cleanse. As you breathe out, you visualize breathing out what he calls dead conditions.
Dead conditions. I love that phrasing.
You're pushing out the negativity, the lethargy, old failures, the mental cobwebs. It treats the bad mood not as who you are, but as a waste product you can just expel.
That's a huge distinction. You are not your tiredness. You're the one experiencing the tiredness. You can breathe it out.
And if you just do this for, say, 60 seconds, inhaling strength, exhaling stagnation, while holding that thought, I am alive, it is physically almost impossible to stay in that zombie state. You've changed your blood oxygen, your posture, and your mental focus.
Okay, so we have the theory, the mantra, and the breath. But you said the third piece is action. We have to prove it.
Aliveness is not a theoretical concept, it's a kinetic one. If you don't move, that energy you just generated stagnates all over again.
Let's apply this to the real world then, because it's one thing to feel alive after a cold shower. It's another thing entirely when you're doing data entry.
Work is the primary battleground. It's where we spend most of our waking hours, and for a lot of people, it's where they feel the most dead inside.
Okay, let's take the most boring task possible. Reformatting a giant spreadsheet.
The half-alive approach is to resent it. You slump in your chair, you have a podcast on to distract yourself, you skim through it, you make mistakes because you're not really looking.
And you're constantly checking the clock.
You are draining your own battery by resisting the task.
That resistance creates friction, and friction leads to burnout.
Exactly. The asserted approach is totally counterintuitive. You pause before you start, you do the breathing exercise, you say, I am alive, and then you decide to attack the task.
Attack the spreadsheet.
You say, I'm going to do this with absolute precision. I'm going to type with energy. I'm going to get this done in 20 minutes flat. You turn it into a performance.
You put life into the keystrokes.
Atkinson says, stop mooning about. Don't daydream while you work. If you're going to work, then work with vitality. If you're going to rest, rest with vitality. But get out of that gray zone in between.
That gray zone is where misery lives. You're not really working, but you're not really resting either. You're just hovering.
Yes. And when you inject aliveness into a boring task, the task might not become fun, but it does become satisfying. You're the agent, not the victim. You're mastering it, not suffering through it.
Okay, let's move to a higher stakes area. Relationships. This is where being half alive can do some real damage.
Oh, this is critical. Think about how we greet our partner or our kids after a long day at work. You walk in the door, you're tired, you're drained.
The classic half-alive greeting. You're looking at your phone, you mumble, hey, and you walk straight to the fridge.
You're bringing those dead conditions into your home. You're broadcasting low energy. And because of something called emotional contagion, your low energy infects the whole room.
Your partner mirrors it back, the
Yeah.
kids get quiet, you've just killed the vibe.
We have so much power in those moments. So to assert life here means you take a breath before you put the key in the lock. We call it the threshold moment. Breathe out the work stress. Say, I am alive. Set the intention. I am going to connect with my family.
And then you open the door.
And you make eye contact. You speak with some energy in your voice. You actually listen. It doesn't mean you have to be some bouncing off the walls cheerleader.
That's a key point. Aliveness is not mania.
No. Aliveness is presence. It's looking your partner in the eye and really seeing them That's an act of love, and it wakes them up too.
Energy is reciprocal. You bring a spark, they tend to light up to match it.
You become the catalyst for the whole household.
Okay, third example, habits. Specifically, the morning routine.
The morning is the rudder for the entire day. If you set that rudder to drift, well, you're going to drift.
The snooze button is the ultimate symbol of drift.
The snooze button is the first no you say to life every single day. It is a declaration that you prefer being unconscious to being conscious.
Ouch. I felt that one.
We all do. The asserted approach is to choose one small physical action that just signifies, I am awake. Making the bed is a classic example. If you make it with vigor, smoothing the sheets, fluffing the pillows, doing it with real intention, you've just proven to yourself that you are in charge.
It's a small win that sets the tone. It says, I create order.
Precisely. And that builds momentum for the rest of the day.
Okay, now let's talk about the traps. Because whenever we try to change a mental pattern this deep, there are always pitfalls. What goes wrong when people try this?
The biggest mistake, and we touched on this, is confusing aliveness with frantic hustle.
That whole rise and grind culture.
Yes. Thinking that being alive means multitasking and stressing out and chugging energy drinks, that is not life force. That is just nervous anxiety.
It's adrenaline poisoning.
It is. Atkinson is talking about a calm, focused power. Think of a martial artist, not a panicked trader on the stock market floor. You can be sitting perfectly still and be vibrating with life.
Okay, so calm intensity. What's mistake number 2?
Forcing emotion. This is the toxic positivity trap. People think, okay, I'm saying I am alive, so I have to feel happy and ecstatic right now.
And if they don't, if they're grieving or just having a bad day, they feel like they're failing.
Exactly. But you can be sad and be fully alive. In fact, grieving fully is a sign of incredible aliveness. The half-alive person numbs the sadness. The alive person feels its weight and carries it with dignity.
So it's not about changing the emotion, it's about being present with it.
It's about presence.
Yeah.
Don't fake a smile. Just focus on being awake.
Which brings us to mistake number 3, which I think is the most common one, waiting to feel it before you act.
Ah, the inspiration trap. I'll go to the gym when I feel energetic.
Which is never.
Never. The old texts and modern psychology are in 100% agreement on this. Action precedes feeling. It's called behavioral activation. You do the thing in order to generate the energy. You don't wait for the energy to do the thing.
You have to prime the pump by actually pumping the handle.
You do. The feeling of aliveness is the reward for the action, not the prerequisite.
What's mistake number 4?
Letting worry drain your attention. Worry is, by definition, dead energy. It's focusing on a future that hasn't happened. It's a leak in your fuel tank. It drains all the vitality from the present moment.
So what's the fix? Worry feels so automatic.
The moment you catch yourself worrying, use that exhale practice. Visualize the worry as gray smoke and just blow it out. Then bring your attention back to your hands, your feet, the task right in front of you. Your brain can't worry and be 100% focused on sensory details at the same time. It can't do both.
And the final mistake, number 5.
Trying to change everything at once. Okay, tomorrow, I'm going to be 100% present all day. I'm overhauling my diet, my work, my marriage.
And by noon, you're exhausted and you've already quit.
And you just reinforce the belief that I can't change. The fix is to start with 1 hour, or even just one task. For the next 10 minutes, I'm going to do the dishes with total aliveness. That's it. Build the muscle.
I love that. Start small. Prove it to yourself.
And speaking of proving it, I think we should actually do this.
Right now.
A live walkthrough.
A live walkthrough, a little reset. Because listening to us talk about aliveness is still fundamentally a passive activity. We want to help you move into the active state. Okay, I am in. So for everyone listening, unless you're driving, of course, please keep your eyes on the road. But if you can, join us in this.
Okay. Step 1. Set your posture. If you're sitting, sit up, away from the back of your chair. If you're standing, stand tall. Uncross your legs, open your chest, and soften your face. We hold so much tension in our jaw and forehead. Let it go.
It's amazing how much drops away just by relaxing your jaw.
Step 2. The breath. Take a calm, deep inhale through your nose. Don't force it. Just visualize your breathing in fresh, cool strength. Hold it for just a second, and now exhale. Breathe out the staleness. Breathe out the drift.
Inhale life. Exhale the zombie.
Step 3. Choose the phrase, in your mind or out loud if you're able. Say it with conviction. I am alive. Say it like you mean it. Not as a question, but as a statement of fact.
I am alive.
Step 4. Recommitment. Decide right now that you're going to live the rest of this day, not just drift through it. You're the captain of the ship.
And what's step 5?
Action. As soon as we finish here, choose one small thing to do. Drink a glass of water, send a text you've been putting off, clean one thing off your desk, do it immediately, and do it with vigor.
That's the bridge. It connects the internal thought to the external reality.
Exactly.
This has been, well, energizing. I actually feel more awake just from talking about it.
That's the power of the idea. It's contagious.
So let's recap the key takeaways for everyone.
Let's distill it down. First, recognize the problem is passive drifting, or being half alive.
The solution is to consciously assert your life force. It's a choice, not a mood.
And this requires that triad: attention, intention, and action.
Use the watchword, I am alive, to prime your mind and interrupt the drift.
And use your breath. Inhale strengths in life. Exhale those dead conditions like worry and negativity.
Then apply this vitality to the real world, to your work, your relationships, and your daily habits.
And most importantly, prove the thought by taking immediate, vigorous action. Don't just think it, do it.
Simple, but it really feels like it could change everything.
It changes the entire texture of your life. It turns the gray into color.
So, looking ahead, we've talked about how to wake up today. But how do we make sure we don't just fall back asleep tomorrow? Motivation is great, but it fades. How do we make this automatic?
That is the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what we're covering next time. Our next session is called Training the Habit Mind. We're going to get into how to take this spark of aliveness, burn it into your neural pathways so it becomes your default setting.
So you don't have to fight for it every single day.
It just becomes who you are. It's the essential next piece of the puzzle.
I cannot wait for that one. Before we sign off, I just want to leave you with one final thought. The world needs you to be alive. Your family, your work, your community, they all need it. But more than anyone, you need it.
Yeah.
Don't cheat yourself out of the full experience of your own life.
Thanks for being here. If you want the full series, check the playlist. And please like and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.